morning, everybody. I am so excited. I guess I don't have to disclose this, but I'm going to disclose this. This is take two of the interview. We had a little bit of a Zoom problem, or I should say I had a technical issue with Zoom. So we are back at it again. I am here with Dani Kimble, the Chief Marketing Officer for O'Neill Insurance. She is a maven when it comes to social media. She is a mom, a wife, just all sorts of amazing things going on in her life. And she shares so much of her story with people through social, to the point that I really felt like I knew Dani before we actually met in person. So I was just lucky enough to get to meet you in New Orleans last year. And I think we had a conversation, and I don't even remember if it was during the original podcast or some other time, that it's hard to believe that we've only met in person one time because we've shared so much life together.
I completely agree with that.
So thank you for being on the show. How are you doing today, Dani?
I'm doing well. Thanks for that introduction. I feel the same. It feels like we know each other. I think we're in many of the same rhythms in life in terms of motherhood and raising three children. So I think we have a lot in common. And when we share that across social media, it just makes me feel like I'm close to you, closer than we actually are physically in space. So
yeah. And it's funny how that works, because it's like 10 years ago, I don't even know, we wouldn't be having an interaction like this. Was Zoom around 10 years ago?
No, probably not.
Yeah. So it's amazing how technology has allowed us to really connect and share our stories. And right when you meet in person, it's just like, you're just like catching up on the conversation you left off with the day before.
Right.
So yeah, I love that that's how our relationship has been built. I think it very much speaks to the line of work that we're both in. So, and I've been really lucky to get to learn so much from you as you've started your career. And I feel very lucky that you're part of my life. So thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being on the show. And thank you for coming for a retake.
Of course. I know things happen with technology. So thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Yes. So how's everything going at home? How are the kids doing? I feel like I know a lot about your kids just from getting to see video clips and photos. And they seem to be handling things pretty well, but how's it going with schoolwork and all of that kind of stuff?
Overall, it's going very well. My children have been in daycare since they were 2 months old, each of them, full time in the daycare system. And I've always been a working mom, and I'm still working full time, but I've never had this amount of time to be more present with my children in my home. And I never realized what I was missing by not having that time. So we've been in quarantine. I want to say it's about 65 days now. We've been locked in the house, not really locked. We've been able to get out a little bit, but together. And it's to the point now when I run to a store to pick up groceries or something, I feel a little bit of separation anxiety from my children. And I like that feeling. Like, I like that feeling of being this close to them. So we've had so many beautiful moments. There's definitely been hard moments. I'm tearing up thinking about it. My 5-year-old is taking this a little bit hard in terms of, automatically being stripped away from school and his teachers and his friends and not truly understanding what's going on. And that's hard to explain, and it's hard to teach them what's happening in the world. We try not to have the news on too much, but if they come with me in a car ride and we go to pick up groceries or something, they see the masks and they see the people in masks, and there's a lot of questions around that for them. So we have a dentist appointment this afternoon, and this will be my first time that the kids are kind of going into a public spot and they have to put masks on. And I think it's going to be confusing for them. I'm interested to see how they take it. I think I'll position it as like, you're Spider-Man and you get to wear a mask, and this is cool, and it's like costume. But so we'll see how that goes. But overall, way more positive, beautiful moments than challenging moments. And for that, we're just incredibly grateful.
Yeah, so I think that it's been wonderful for me to watch your journey as a mom through all of this. You've been, I mean, I just feel like you've executed so well and been full of grace in those moments that are certainly challenging because kids, I don't think you realize how much they really try and push your limits until you're with them for that many hours on end. But I loved the post with your son in timeout where it said, I think it said he thought he could, so he did, and now he's in timeout or something like that. It was so cute. And it's like, yeah, this is real life. Like we have to continue like parenting and there's certainly, I don't know, it's like, I was like, do I have to be a disciplinarian every day? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Like, this is what was going on probably when I was at work anyway. So yeah, I think it's been fun to watch that the last couple of months with you bouncing back and forth and documenting that the juggling that has to take place as we try and be parents and employees and teachers all at the same time.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for that. I realized in the first week of this that the first week was a little too much fun. We were having sleepovers and lots of movies and popcorn and snacks and everything, right? No schedule for the kids. And then I realized very quickly, like, okay, routine is very important right now for them. Consistency is very important right now for them because things went crazy. So once we got on a routine, we were in a good rhythm of moving forward through this.
Yeah, and the routine I think was, I mean, we were probably a little more, but my kids are a little just a tad older. Like we share one age, but then like my oldest is 13. And he's been very independent, which has been nice. But yeah, you certainly had more that you had to try and like keep track of just
Right.
because of their ages. So now your youngest is not in school yet, right?
No, he's in a preschool program, but with the daycare.
Yeah. So has he felt left out during all of this?
I have actually hired Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Umi Zumi to help teach him his
There you go.
letters and his shapes and his numbers. So while I'm homeschooling my pre-K and my first grader, he's kind of being homeschooled by Mickey Mouse and Umi Zumi for a little bit. And I've learned to be okay with that. We have to be okay with that sometimes. So
Yeah, isn't it funny how we've had to let go of certain things and just learn to be more flexible in all of this.
right,
Like
definitely.
there were so many rules that we didn't get to make anymore,
Right.
as much as we'd like to.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love getting to see those stories, and I know that you'll continue to share as I don't know as life evolves in different ways. What's the status with Ohio at this point?
So we are actually opening restaurants today for dine-in,
That's
which is
exciting.
pretty exciting.
Yeah.
This is May 21st, so we're at the what? Yeah, today's May 21st. So about a week ago, we opened like patio seating, so people could go
Okay.
sit on patios and eat. And now we're opening dine-in. I mean, there's tons of restrictions still, which is good. The retails have opened. We have to wear, masks. We don't have to, but it's encouraged to wear masks everywhere we go. So it's exciting to see that there's a little bit more action happening
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, we're all looking for some sense of normalcy, whatever that is. And, it will be a new normal,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll be interesting to see as this goes on how it all plays out. And I think, I don't know if we'll see more like national standards and less state level, because every state is different. At least that's what I'm feeling like as I talk to different people from different parts of the country. It's just a little bit different level of reaction wherever you
Yeah,
happen to
yeah,
live.
I agree. I think people are experiencing it in so many different ways, and the numbers, the data tends to influence how the state is responding to it, which is great. Uh, I think the one thing for me is like not turning the news on. So I only knew retail opened because as I was driving by to curbside pickup for my food, I realized that other shops were open. And so I subscribe to this philosophy that, and I think Rachel Hollis said this on one of her podcasts, is like, the news will find me if it's that important
Yeah.
to my life, right? So, yeah, but you're right. Everybody's responding and handling this different for so many good different reasons, right? If you have an elderly parent, or you live with an elderly parent that, or a sick parent that could potentially pass from getting the coronavirus, like, you're going to respond a lot differently than if you live with a healthy family, a young family that could probably handle the coronavirus. So yeah, it's interesting, super interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and I think that, one of the biggest things, and so we're going to get onto another topic pretty soon, but I think that one of the things that has been just like a constant, I don't know, like, the reminders come to me in different ways from different people, but like, just recognizing that we all have different levels of awareness about this, and like, just approaching it from a place of saying they have their reasons, and I'm not going to judge them for those reasons.
Right.
And I honestly, I don't know what's best. I know what's best for me and my kids, and I still could be wrong. But like, I can, that's as far as I can make those decisions, and not, trying to govern anybody else. But yeah, there's so much opinion out there, and I'm with you. I don't turn on the news. I actually don't remember the last time I watched the news.
Right.
It was John Krasinski's SGN.
And that's good news, so we'll take it.
Yes. So that's as far as it gets for me. But yeah, so I mean, I love seeing your family, but I also want to dig into your career in insurance. Now, what I love about your story, and I know I've heard it a few times, but I love the fact that there are so many different ways to get into this industry. Like, some people take a very direct path. They may, work in a family agency, that their parents had started, there's a lot of different ways, but there's so many unique ways that people find their ways and their path into the industry. I feel like I kind of happened into insurance, and I think that your story, is similar, but also your path, your journey was very different than mine. So, how did you arrive at O'Neill Insurance?
Sure. So I grew up as a dancer, very, very active in the performing arts. I loved dancing. I remember, I was just thinking about this the other day with my 7-year-old was outside dancing, and I remember just spending my nights, my weekends in my garage, and I would turn on, like, I was little, I was probably 4 or 5, and I would turn on a cassette player and put in one of my dad's tapes, and
Yeah.
I'd press play, and it was like Boot Scootin' Boogie was the song. And I would put my older sister's tap shoes on that didn't even fit me yet, and I would tap dance in my garage. And then I continued to just always be dancing in my garage. If it wasn't at the studio, I was choreographing outside. And another memory was, it was, snowing, like freezing cold outside, and I bundled up and I had Whitney Houston blaring. And at this time, I'm probably 13, 14 years old. Whitney Houston playing I Want to Dance with Somebody, and I'm choreographing then. And I still will be dancing in my basement or in my kitchen while I'm cooking. Like, dance has just always been a part of me, something I'm incredibly passionate about. I love being in rhythm. I love music. And so I carried on that throughout my life. I went to a high school that allowed me to leave school at 10:30, and I would train and dance from 11 to 6 or 7 most days, and on the weekends. And then I went on to pursue my bachelor's degree in dance at the University of Akron. And while I was there, I was able to tour with like a dance crew. That was when America's Best Dance Crew was out. Okay, so we had our own little crew, and we would go perform in New York City, in like Harlem, and we would go to Nashville and different dance competitions. So that was great experience for me. I went on and pursued my master's degree in dance at Temple University. And then while I was there, it was my final semester of grad school, and I it was the night before I think the final semester started, and I snapped my MCL in a rehearsal in my knee, and I fell straight to the floor. I had never been injured before, but here this is following Christmas break, so I was off for about 3 weeks, and I probably didn't take care of myself as well as I should have in terms of keeping my body strong, right? So I had 3 weeks off, got back into rehearsal, and snapped my knee the first night there. So I returned home. I had a number of blood clots from that, which slowed down the healing process. But I chose not to do the surgery so that I could get back into dance, because now I was about to graduate with a master's degree in dance. This has been my whole life. It's all I know. I love it. So I did graduate on time. I was able to finish online, and then I got back into dancing, and I was teaching a little more. And now I'm in the Cleveland, Ohio area. So I'm teaching, I'm dancing, I'm performing a little bit. And fast forward 5 years, the same injury happened. Same injury, same knee, snapped the MCL. I didn't feel like I was in my best shape at the time. So I guarantee that that's why that happened. And, in that moment, I realized, and I sound like Michael Jordan. I know this is a popular documentary right now, but I realized that was my last dance.
Yeah.
That was my last moment. I knew I needed the reconstructive knee surgery. So that's what happened. And then I remember I was sitting in a cast from my hip down to my ankle, just feeling sorry for myself. And that's not like me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like me, but I was just like crying, sitting on my couch. My kids were at daycare. My husband was at work. And I started looking for jobs, having no idea, what I wanted to do. And this was right before the surgery. And I applied for, I knew I wanted to do something creative, but it couldn't be the creative that I knew in terms of choreographing movement. And so I went on and applied for a couple different marketing jobs. And one was the marketing coordinator position at the local insurance agency up the street, which was O'Neill Insurance. And they brought me in for an interview. I think the story was that our chief operating officer had passed the resume to Patrick O'Neill, who's the president there. He had interviewed a couple people who have marketing background, marketing experience, and I think he kind of threw his hands up in there and said, just bring in the dancer. And so I show up in this brace from my hip to my ankle. I didn't know if I could drive for this interview. I had a towel. I rolled it underneath my hip so that my leg could stay. It had to be 180 degrees. I drive into town. I just had the surgery. I drive into town. I crutch in to O'Neill Insurance. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, insurance? What am I thinking? But, you don't judge a book by its cover, right? So I'm like, at least it's an at-bat. It's a practice at the interview. They're taking a chance on me. And then from there, once I met the people, I was completely sold. I was completely in love with the people and the focus, the vision of the agency. I was like, okay, I think I can do this. That's my story. That's a long version of my story.
Yeah. And I love it. So when we've talked about this, and even now you talk about instantly falling in love, like you knew when you walked in the door that this was a match for you. And I think that you do such a good job of telling their story. It really just is spelled out so clearly in all of the social campaigns that you guys do. Like, I can just see it. I see the way that the kids get involved in all of it. Like it's so apparent in terms of the sincerity of all of it. Like the fact that the owner and his son, are they both owners?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're on, and it's like, it's so casual. Like you can tell it's so them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think that authenticity is just, I don't want to use the word oozing, but I still haven't come up with a better word since we first had this conversation. Like you can just feel it. Like it's palatable. Like you can't ignore it. Like I can tell that this is exactly who they are. Like I know that if I met them in person, it would be the same people that I've seen on camera in the different work that you've done.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. I think when I was interviewing and kind of getting to know the company, I quickly realized their story wasn't being told.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the color, like even just in the branding, like in terms of the coloring and the font and who they were, like it just wasn't being told. And that's when I built that connection of saying, I've told stories my whole life through my body, through
Yeah.
choreography, through other bodies when I'm choreographing a dance. Like they have a real story to tell. Let me challenge myself in telling this real story. So like formerly, like the logo, and nothing against these colors and fonts, but it just didn't represent them. Like the logo was a dark green and like this brown gold color and had like Times New Roman font in it, and it just felt stale and stiff. And I think even when you walk into the office right now, we haven't redone the office and the office furniture, and it can still come across that way. I'm actually working on signage right now, you know, as we're transforming the brand, but you know, now we are better positioned to just be who we are at O'Neill Insurance, and the people, they're amazing, and they've jumped on board with just feeling very comfortable sharing the story as well with their friends and their community too. So that was important.
Yeah, and I love hearing how you talk about how your experience as a dancer, as a choreographer, translates into this completely, I wouldn't even say it's adjacent. I mean, it looks like I can see the connection, but from like a bird's eye view, I don't think you would put the two together, but it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like just allowing your creativity to run in a marketing position rather than as a dance instructor. It's crazy how the brain it's like, it's still doing the same thing, just the output's a little bit different. So I think it's amazing. And again, I love the fact that there's so many unique journeys that bring us into this industry. And yours is definitely one of those that you couldn't have predicted it.
No.
It was just a matter of being open to the possibilities.
Yeah. I love how you phrase that. That's true. It's just being open to change.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you look back on, you know, all of the things that have gone on in your life and the people that have played different roles, who has had the biggest impact on you?
I'd say the greatest impact has definitely been my mother. And my mom owns a restaurant, and she's a stay-at-home mom until I was about 6 years old. And with her brothers and sisters, she opened a restaurant, and I just grew up. I remember, you know, a lot of summers just sitting at the counter watching her work, and I would be rolling silverware or bussing tables or greeting customers or pouring them coffee. Like I was just very young growing up in the restaurant industry and watching her grow a small business, and watching her be a working mom, watching her put faith over and above everything, and making sure that she was doing the best that she could to balance all of that. And my goal has always been to just kind of follow those footsteps, because I think she's done a phenomenal job. And even right now with the situation that the restaurant's in, she's just been amazing and so inspiring in terms of like her perspective on how they're going to get through this situation that they're in. She had DoorDash and Uber Eats set up 6 to 8 months ago, and this is a small family-owned restaurant. 6 to 8 months ago, had Uber Eats and DoorDash set up. So thank goodness that she had that ready, you know, not knowing what was coming, where delivery can take place, and she immediately jumped on curbside carry out. And I'm running her social medias now, but she would have just been running all the marketing and everything. She's amazing, and she's taught me so much. So overall, she's had the greatest impact on my life.
Yeah. And I love seeing, I just have a very clear picture of your relationship with your mom from the way that, you know, you tell the story of the mother-daughter relationship through social media. It's so apparent, and you guys look alike too. You're like the blonde version of your mom. Do people say that to you?
A lot of people are starting to, you know. I think growing up we didn't look too much alike, but now, you know, my whole family is like Italian and Mexican, and I'm like the random, like lighter skin, lighter hair, lighter eyes, and they're all like dark, really dark. So but now we're starting to see a lot more resemblance between us.
Yeah. That's funny. I would have never even guessed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. my gosh. Yeah. Like you said, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
I'm horrible at guessing it. I don't guess anybody's anything. Like if people are like, how
No.
old do you think I am? I don't know. I'm just going to say 25 for
There you go.
everybody. And at some point I'm going to offend a 20-year-old. But yeah, I mean, I love seeing how you talk about your family, not just like your kids and your husband that are within your home right now, but just like your whole family. And I feel like I know so much about you, like your brother's journey right now through his senior year and off to college. And it's amazing to see how I've gotten to know them through your storytelling. And I love your openness with sharing that. And I'm sure there's certain things obviously that are very personal and private, and those things don't go out. But I think that what you do share, you share it in such a beautiful way that people really feel like they can engage with you. And I appreciate that you do that.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. I mean, sometimes I question, like, how much do you share? Do you share too? Your mind gets working and you're like, maybe you shouldn't share at all, or maybe this shouldn't be the focus at all. I think what it's come down to is like, who am I as a person? Who do I want to be? Who are my mentors in life? Who do I want to follow? Who do I want to surround myself with? And how can I inspire others to identify with who they are and to feel comfortable, feel comfortable really, really clarifying what are your personal values in life, and how can you inspire others to establish their own personal values too. I think that's my overall purpose with the sharing.
Yeah.
There's things, that when I'm crazy and overwhelmed with kid things, let's say a child spills milk on the floor while we're trying to get ready, and I get frustrated right away and may lash out, like, and yell at them and feel like I'm not being a good mother. That stuff doesn't get shared on social media, you know? And I don't want to hide that and pretend that life is perfect, but I also don't want to put negativity out in the world either.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a fine balance. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't want to come across that everything is perfect in my life, but I also want to focus on a lot of the good things that are happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's so much value to encouraging positivity. There's certainly a lot of both, but I think that most people want to see positivity or at least reality with like a positive light shed on it.
Sure.
And I don't think that you come across as like professing to be a perfect mom at all. I mean, I saw the timeout photo. Oh my gosh. So when you look back on all of these experiences that you've had, and I'm sure you've had some incredible experiences during your dance career and now transitioning into a marketing role with an insurance agency, what would you say is the biggest life lesson that you've had so far?
That's a great question. I would say being confident, finding that confidence within myself to just be me, just be who I am. I think I went through a period where that transition from dance to marketing and to insurance, I have a lot of relationships and networks and friends in the dance community. And I think that I was too concerned about what their perception would be on that. And now I'm looking back at that, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like who cares, right? Like, I'm still myself. I'm still who I am. I think a lot of people that I was super connected to in that journey in dance in that time may have questioned, like, well, I'm surprised she didn't open a dance studio, or I'm surprised she didn't go work for a performing arts organization, whatever their thoughts are. Because I totally rerouted. I let that consume me, those thoughts in my head of what others were thinking consume me too much. And so that's been the life lesson in this transition phase, is like, just be who you are and be confident with that. And who cares what people say? I know that I'm a good person. I know that I have good intentions. I know that I'm going to apply my skills and talents in the areas that I feel is the most beneficial and can make the most impact right now. And so I think that initial transition has taught me that lesson overall. And I think it took me too long to realize that.
Yeah. So I think that that is common. Like, I think it's hard to be confident in your own voice and really um, who you are. It's like there is a little bit of this fear of not being accepted.
Sure.
It's so funny that you say that. I found this random note as I was like sorting through papers this morning, and it just was some note about like fear of rejection. Being motivated by rejection is the same as being motivated by fear.
Hmm.
I don't know. I have no idea when or why I wrote that down. It's probably somebody else's quote. I don't even know, but I found that this morning. But I think that it's really hard to just be like, this is who I am, and I'm happy with who I am, knowing that I can improve. I'm not perfect,
Right.
but I'm good. I'm good with who I am. I can sleep at night knowing that I've represented myself well.
Sure.
And yeah, and your journey isn't for somebody else's to judge.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a hard thing, I think, to get past.
Sure.
So when I look at everything that you've done and, taking this marketing role, and really just telling such a beautiful story about the agency, and really just, I mean, a lot of this is like innate creativity that you have, but really developing in that role, um, taking on leadership responsibilities. How do we help encourage other women to do the same thing? Because I think that, and I know this happens with both men and women, but I think it happens more so with women, that we tend to live a little bit small and we don't necessarily push up to our potential. So, like, how can we help just bring more women along into leadership, especially in the insurance industry?
I love that you're asking that question because I think that our industry as a whole, just from what I've noticed in the past 3.5, 4 years, is that we don't do a good job, as the industry as a whole doesn't do a good job at painting the picture for women to see what a leadership role can look like in the industry. I think we can do a much better job at that. Um, I look at Haley Smith comes to mind from State Auto, and I adore Haley Smith. I think the world of her, and she initially was doing State Auto Labs, and she's jumped into a different position there. I think more in like a regional sales role. Um, but she has a lot of leadership traits and characteristics that are admirable. And I think her voice, she will be on. She's been on a couple podcasts. I know she's done panels and things around maybe a little bit more closer to the insurtech space. But you can feel her passion to lead, to help lead and push this industry forward. And I think we need more people, more women to be able and be in the position to step up and share that as well. Confidently share what they're doing to help drive the industry forward. I know Ashley Fitzsimmons has started like a women's network in Ohio,
Mhm.
and I adore her as well. Like, she started a women's network in Ohio where, and I'm not a part of it only from a time standpoint, but women come together and just talk about. I don't even know what they talk about, but I know just getting these women in the insurance industry together is helpful. It's helpful for them to just share what's happening inside their agencies. What are they doing to kind of push and level up a little bit? So I think we're going to see more of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I certainly hope so. I think that what I'm witnessing, and this has just been, I think you and I kind of like started to, like, I've been in the industry for a long time, but we kind of arrived in this big wide world of like a community
Sure.
about the same time. Like, I was a lot more quiet. I was like sitting in the back row, kind of watching what was going on stage type of thing. But just seeing how we're building these connections. And I think that there's so many women now. Like, I think of you, I think of Ash and Sid, and like I can name so many people, and hopefully I get to have them all on the show. Um,
Mhm.
but we're really pulling together and trying to then, like, just think if each one of us brings two more people along and help them find their strengths and their skills and, whatever direction it is they need, or we're a mentor, or whatever, like the networking that we can build and what can come of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like it's just like immeasurable at this point. Like, I feel like there can be such a significant impact. But yeah, I love the work that Ash is doing in terms of just like bringing people together. And right now it's very local, but I think that has the potential to just really grow.
Yeah, I agree. And you mentioned Sydney Rowe, who I adore as well. And I think that she is the most creative in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Seth Zaremba now with Zinc Insurance has hired her to help with Neon, his insurtech. Well, I don't know if I should call it an insurtech, but a technology platform to really drive and make change in this industry. And she's kind of packaged a voice now and a story around it that I think is going to help people really truly understand his mission. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I see this trend coming. The other thing that I'm thinking about right now is this particular situation where the motherly role, at home, where we're homeschooling our children, and I should say parents in general, mothers and fathers are both home, but I think about like it's naturally like a motherly instinct to care for their children because they're in our womb for 9+ months, right? And we have that natural bond and connection right away. I think that translates into the workplace, and right now people need to feel that their employers are empathetic to the situations that are going on in their world. Right now, the conversations in meetings have to change a little bit because you're in a virtual environment where you're actually, when you're talking to another person, you're inside their home.
Yeah.
Olivia, you're inside my home right now. And let's say we get in a debate or we get in an argument or there's conflict that happens, which is healthy in meetings.
Right.
Conflict is healthy in meetings. Feedback is healthy. Constructive criticism is healthy. I think it has to be positioned just a little bit differently when you're inside somebody's home. It has to come across a little bit more empathetic because I'm going to walk outside and see my children.
Yeah.
And if I'm letting work and like me feeling fired up and overwhelmed and upset about something immediately translate to my children, that's not healthy. And I think women have a better understanding of that empathetic side to coach and teach the entire workplace how to have those conversations. So I see it growing. I see a lot of organizations really embracing that side of just a natural nurturing side of women.
Yeah. Which I think is, we talked about this a little bit last time. And so I want to bring it up now that you've said that. It just triggered this, but it really allows us to leverage our strengths. Like it speaks to our strengths, because I think that, and I have this conversation with people all the time, like I don't need to be like, it doesn't need to be a male versus female issue. We need everybody at the table, but being able to recognize and then capitalize on our strengths, I think is what allows you to establish what kind of leader you're going to be. Not all leaders are the same. We need different types of leaders in different areas of the business. And so I think just being able, that self-awareness, and then how do you use that in order to continue moving forward in your career, whatever that looks like. But yeah, I think there's so much power in the connection that we're creating between strong female voices in the industry, and then encouraging others to, step out maybe a little bit of their comfort zones and really use their voice.
Yeah.
Find their confidence.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love it. And I'm excited because I think that means that you and I are going to continue just on this journey together.
Definitely.
You can't get rid of me now, Dani.
Never.
No, I mean, at some point there's going to be a stop in Ohio for dance lessons.
Oh, good. I'm ready. But we can do Zoom dance lessons like right now, actually.
I feel like I need you to like very specifically instruct me. You have your work cut out for you with this one.
I'm all in.
Okay, perfect. So If you could go back and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
I think it aligns with what I initially said about my life lesson. Uh, Social media has been transformational, is the word I guess that I'll choose. I can't imagine what it's like to be a a high school student right now, that when they go home, all their peers follow them. Every time they open their phone up, all their peers are with them. And I think sometimes, especially at that age when you're 16, 17, 18, and you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to figure out what career you're going to choose. You're trying to determine if college is the path for you. You have a lot of influence around you, and I think it's hard to find your own voice. And especially now with social media, and you're watching what friends are doing, and you're watching the decisions that they're making. Everyone comes from a different background and a different family situation, and you may have one 17-year-old that can afford to go to Purdue or like an expensive school, and you may not be that in that situation, or you may have one that talent comes very easily, or they've worked for a sports scholarship, right? And so you're battling against what you're seeing on social media, right? Sometimes. And I think it's hard to find your inner voice and your true voice and who you are in that capacity at that age. And so if I could give advice to like high school students who are trying to determine what that path looks like for them, it would be to, and it may be like journaling exercises or things that they would hate to do at that time, but like to just help them find and be self-aware in who they are and what they want out of life, instead of be consumed in what other people are doing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I have a 13-year-old.
Sure.
I get it. He is
Yeah.
very concerned, and really helping him, find his own identity, like to really appreciate his uniqueness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard.
I believe it.
And I think it's hard for adults. And you think
Definitely.
about a teenager without a fully developed brain, it's especially difficult.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it's great advice. I want, if you know how I can have that conversation even more with my son, then maybe you could tell him.
We could try
Okay.
it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe he might listen to you more than he listens to me. There's a really good chance of that.
Well, I have you had mentioned earlier, he's this 18-year-old brother, and graduating this year, his baseball season was stripped from him. I have to do a car lineup this week with him for his actual graduation ceremony. And he's seeing what other people are doing in their lives in terms of like where they're going to college, what degrees they're going for. And, immediately his mind goes there instead of determining like what he's good at,
Yeah.
And I just want to like hug him and like hide him from the world, just to like give him a week to just think about and focus on like himself.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get that through sometimes.
Yeah, I know. It's like we need to equip kids to protect themselves, to protect their identity, to protect the things that they're proud of about themselves, and not to cover those things up.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of that. This is probably not the right saying, but like that living out loud concept, like you don't need to change who you are. You don't need to conform, and you certainly don't need to, change your life based on what everybody else is doing.
Right.
I think there is so much power in perspective, looking back, that whole hindsight thing, and recognizing that there is so much power in our uniqueness. Like there was the individuality, the fact that you and I are not the same. We're super compatible,
Right.
but like who we are sets us up for so many different things in our lives.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So it's like, I know it comes with maturity. I just wish, if kids can realize it sooner, I think they're much further ahead.
Well, and you think, and I don't mean to go on a tangent about this, but you think about the cost of college,
Yeah.
and everyone thinks they need to take that path through college, and you don't. You're missing out on different experiences in life that can set you up for greater success in life sometimes in certain situations. There's certain degrees that you have to have in order to do the things that you want to do. But I don't know. It's getting crazy for I think that generation.
Yeah, just being able to kind of shut out the noise and figure out who they are.
Yep.
Maybe they all need to start like meditating more or something, and
That's a great idea.
go on these silence, no social media retreats or something.
Right.
I don't know. Oh my gosh. So just a couple more questions as we wrap up here. What does the future look like for you, Dani? What are your big plans?
I think I will my plan is to stay with O'Neill Insurance. I'm very, very happy there. What I love most about working at O'Neill Insurance is that they prioritize me being a mom first and an employee of theirs second. And I think that speaks volumes to the culture. Uh, they are always, always, always checking in on me and my role as a mom and a wife, and the balance between work and life and how I'm handling that. And they allow me to I feel very comfortable being open with them about how I'm feeling day to day. And I think that's going to be hard for me to find in other spaces. I have the flexibility that I need. I have the lifestyle that I want. And I'm positioned well to be a really great mom, a really great wife, and to be a really great employee for them. So I also believe in the mission that they're on. Yeah. Pat O'Neill's the son to Patrick O'Neill. Pat O'Neill is now a shareholder and the future of this company. And I work very well with him. I think he's passionate about the work he does. He works extremely hard. And so I see myself just coupling with that and pushing the agency forward. And I'm excited about that.
Isn't it amazing that feeling when it's all in alignment? Like who you are and who they are is just perfectly aligned.
Yes. I think that's so important, especially in this world of personal branding and how you align the personal brand with the corporate brand. And now I'm getting a little too into the marketing side of it, but my personal values, and I feel strongly about this, and I think other people, when they're thinking about the workplaces that they're at, to see where this alignment is. It doesn't have to be perfectly aligned, but my personal values have to be closely aligned to the corporate values.
Yeah.
And when those two marry and when they can match, man, you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
You're unstoppable. What I'm writing about personally, what you're seeing in my social media channels, on LinkedIn, everything, that's me, my authentic voice and myself.
Yeah.
And it aligns great with O'Neill Insurance.
Yeah. And then it makes it so much easier to go to work every day when that alignment exists.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I look forward to continuing to see how, that company develops, how you continue to tell the story, because I know that you'll just keep coming up with new and inventive and creative ideas, because that's exactly who you are. I'll be very curious to see what Ava will be up to as far as, counting jelly beans or I love that there's almost always candy involved. Like,
yes, there has to be.
Yes, there's some sugar here. And she's like, I'm all in.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
So last question. If you got to play DJ for 5 minutes, you get to play a song for the entire world, what song would it be?
It is 24 Carats by Bruno Mars. That is my song. I am obsessed with it every time I hear it. I actually had a dream before I was presenting at Elevate. I had a dream that Sydney Rowe introduced me and played that song, and I had choreography ready as I was coming up to the stage.
Oh my gosh.
So that is my song. I love that song, and I love Bruno Mars.
So you choreographed the dance to that song in your sleep?
I don't remember the choreography,
Oh,
but it was when I was watching myself in my dream
yeah.
doing it, it was not improvised, it was choreographed. So, somewhere between when I fell asleep and when I was dreaming about it, maybe that choreography actually took place and I just don't remember it.
Mm. Well, next time you're presenting somewhere, I will make sure that your walk-up song is ready.
But okay.
So no pressure, just make sure you have that choreography memorized between now and then.
Love that.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been amazing. And again, thank you so much for coming back on. And I know that we'll continue to build this friendship and I will continue to learn from you. I know you have so much to share, and I appreciate everything that you do for O'Neill, for this industry, sharing your insight with people. And I am very much looking forward to a trip to Ohio.
Thank you. I am looking forward to you coming to Ohio too. But I also love the work that you're doing, the videos that you're posting consistently on your socials, getting your children involved. I love that you're pushing this industry and kind of challenging everyone in the industry and women um, to just be who they are and to be confident in that. And you portray that in everything that you put out in the world. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you always. And we've had extra doses of it the past
So
couple of
much.
weeks. But keep pushing because you're doing amazing stuff.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to try not to cry before we shut this down. Oh my God. Thank you so much. And we'll talk soon.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.